We are excited to have with us today Peter Ostrow, the VP Principal Analyst of B2B Sales with Forrester. He talks about what the research is saying regarding AI with sales, enablement, and go-to-market teams. The GTM AI podcast is sponsored by GTM AI Academy, where we focus on educating GTM professionals on how to use AI as an individual leader or teams to create true business impact. Now let's get to it. All right, everybody, I'm so excited. I have my man, Peter, here with me. Of course, if you've been around this space much in GTM or enablement, you know this guy because he is the man when it comes to reports. But I want to make sure he has the ability to introduce himself, and then we're going to jump in and talk some AI and go-to-market shenanigans. So, Peter, please tell us about you.
Thanks, Jonathan. I'm actually not Peter. I'm just an avatar generated by AI pretending to be Peter right now. I was born in a laboratory. No,
yeah,
you could actually do that.
You could do that.
We're pretty close. My voice has, with my permission, already been co-opted for someone's fun little post here and there.
There you go.
My wife was aghast when she heard that. It freaked her out. So hey, everybody, I'm Peter Ostrow from Forrester. I am a Vice President Principal Analyst focusing on revenue enablement research within our B2B sales research focus here. We do all sorts of objective research. It's fun doing research when you don't care what the results are, as long as you find good ones and then tell the stories that come out of them. Jonathan and I were just joking about yesterday being the 7th anniversary of the birth of alternative facts in the public domain. No, real research into enablement. What does good look like? What does not good look like? And happy to join you guys today.
I love it, man. Well, thanks again for joining us. I have a random question for you, which is, of all the things you guys research with enablement, specifically in sales, with AI, where do you see things coming in the next year? Like what do you see is coming down the pipe?
Skills, changes in skills. Yeah. Every human being associated with producing and listening to this podcast knows that change is a constant. And those of us who are more comfortable finding the cheese where it has moved to tend to migrate faster to the new thing. Skills adaptation is not new in B2B sales, right? We had to get some of our salespeople to use computers a long time ago. We had to get them to use their mobile devices for work. We had to get them to use CRM, social media, prompt engineering. Oh, wait, that hasn't happened yet. But that's the one right now that's associated with AI. So it's a change of skills for the people who sell, but there'll be other changes of skills ahead. The difference is, I think, that enablement itself and GTM leaders themselves need to be able to recognize the import of these and how dramatically things could shift in terms of not just what good looks like for their customer-facing folks, but how they're going to spend their money, how they're going to prioritize their needs, their assets, their learnings, and all that stuff. It's a big shakeup.
Yeah, one of the reports the Forrester had out last year was about how it's projected that CRLs will have budget for an AI-specific type role of some kind, right? From an enablement perspective, I'm curious, do you think that it will become a new role? Do you think enablement will then change into some AI form of it? Or what do you think about that?
I have mixed feelings about that, Jonathan, because, anybody who spent time with me or my colleagues knows we are adamantly opposed to equating the enablement team with the purveyance of software and tools, right? If you are literally just perceived as by your internal customers as the people who throw tools their way, you're just a professional hammer in search of a nail, and I don't like that at all. Enablement and go-to-market support teams are doing their job if they help folks do their jobs better. And sometimes technology is not the immediate answer. It's rarely the immediate answer. It's the follow-on. That being said, at a certain volume of size of go-to-market organization, the enablement team tends to have one or more FTEs that are dedicated towards, if not overselling, at least the maintenance of the technology. That will probably shift dramatically. Volume, maybe. Duties, absolutely, towards understanding how to protect the integrity of the data lake that these AI tools point at, how to make sure that governance is not just an, oh yeah, whatever type of mindset. It becomes more important than ever. And then also to make sure that they're measuring the impact of these toys. Just going to the supermarket, going down to the Stop and Shop, and in between the aisles, I'm going to pick up some milk and some AI and some ML. That's not how it works. And unfortunately, a lot of folks are peddling it that way right now. That's the farthest from the way to be effective with it.
As your point of view from a researcher, sales teams or enablement, either one, what type of AI technology should we be looking at now to kind of build for foundation pieces, you think?
The type of technology, I think, is less important than making sure we are outside in, just the way our organizations, our go-to-market organizations are outside in. If you're in enablement, which is where I live, your customers are the go-to-market personnel. The customers are your salespeople and your customer success people, your field people, your solutions engineers, your overlays, anybody who's interacting with the customers. And your AI investments and expertise, not just investments, expertise comes first, should be geared around a few, call it 4 specific what's in it for me's for those internal customers. Yeah. Number 1, if I'm a seller, help me with my efficiency and my decision making. Time is my enemy. The typical B2B sales rep spends 25.6% of their time on core customer facing selling activities and 74 point something percent on the rest. That's not good. Help me with my efficiency by giving me time back, and I will love you. And then help me with my decision making. Which deal, which contact, which asset, which learning, which battle card, which fact, which whatever is going to help me right now in this moment with this prospect. Because if I'm thinking about anything other than my deals, I'm going to fail. So number 1 is that help me with efficiency and decision making. Number 2, expertise and then investment should be, if I'm a seller, tell me what to do and show me how to do it. Hey, everybody, we just bought a new sales methodology. So this is what good looks like, and you need to start doing this. Okay, why did we pick the new sales methodology? Oh, the CRO had it as last 3 stops. Okay. Does that mean that it applies to all companies equally? Probably not. If you can show me what good looks like, hey, machine, go through all of the sales calls that we've had over the last X period of time in this industry and tell me which ones were associated with deals that closed faster and at more profit than expected. Show me what good looks like in terms of behavior and in terms of activities. Number 3 of the 4 would be, give me content, give me answers, and give me insights. Tangible deliverables that say, I can produce this thing that I use to learn or that I use to sell faster than ever before. Give me answers. If a company has 1,000-person enablement help desk, they don't not only need no AI, they need no technology whatsoever, right? Just walk up and get your answer. We don't have 1,000-person enablement help desks. These tools have the opportunity to graduate the capability of a small help desk function into something that's a lot bigger and a lot broader. And then finally, I would say, don't give me a hammer in search of a nail. Don't be the enablement team. Don't be the technology buyer and peddler who's just trying to get me to adopt it so that your vanity metrics look good. Do stuff for me as a seller, whether it's the efficiency and the decision making, whether it's what to do and how to do it, or the content, answers, and data and insights so that I can use my professional skills to do what I'm really good at and let the administrivia type of stuff be handled by the machine.
I love all 4 of those. One thing we focused on the Academy is really, let's go above learning tools and go to what's actually business impact, which goes to what you're talking about, like understanding workflows and what's holding back. Like a lot of things I see online are honestly just like, this cool tool can do this cool video. I'm like, great. What does that do for me business wise? It's like that connection is just not there yet. So I love that you're thinking from the back end and work backwards from there versus the tool forward.
There's been some nice posts on LinkedIn lately. I couldn't quote a specific one right off the top of my head where people are giving some nice advice about, before you take, I will mention the great Siobhan Thatcher just had a post a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday. For any project, ask these 5 questions, right? Which is, who's the executive sponsor? How are you going to measure success? Now, at that one, I stopped, because if you're going to measure success by lagging indicators that are influenced by things other than me, I'm not buying in. We have our most popular artifact right now is the revenue enablement measurement model. How do I measure how much work I do, how much the people I serve like it, how much it's incorporated into their day-to-day activities, and then finally, how does it save them time and drive behavioral change that the company wants? That's how to measure, in our experience, enablement specific initiatives. We know that folks who focus on the lagging indicators perform worse. Folks who focus on just pure adoption perform horribly. Folks who focus on impact and feedback tend to perform the best.
That's awesome. So question, I know we were talking about this before. First question, this is a 2-part. First part of it is, what do you think is going to dramatically change not only for enablement, but for the sales function as a result of AI?
Done right, you're going to have magic and multiplication. Done wrong, you're going to have mayhem or There's another M. These are the 4 M's that Forrester goes to market around. I didn't make this
Right.
up. I can't remember the fourth M. You're going to have multiplication, meaning the things that we know how to do, we're going to be able to do them a lot faster as long as we provide proper oversight. We also might, with really well fine-tuned AI tools, get some magic out of it, meaning that you're not just doing a bunch of work that I can do faster. You're coming up with something that I didn't think of before. The mayhem that can happen is obviously if you get the hallucinations. Oh, mistakes is the fourth M. There you go.
There you go.
I still got it, Jonathan. I still got it.
You got it.
You know, so think of those 4 M's, the too good and the too bad, around using AI to write my term paper. Okay. Everyone's like, oh my God, everybody, all the kids these days, they're going to not learn how to do anything. So you could use, ChatGPT or a more controlled, generative AI tool to look at a bunch of things and then write a pretty good term paper for you a lot faster than you could. So you could go out partying earlier in the night. Great. That's multiplication. It might, if it's a good enough tool and you know how to properly prompt engineer it, come up with something original-ish. That's the magic. But it could also make mistakes, which if you're just cutting and pasting it into your final term paper, that's going to come back and haunt you. And then it could, if it just goes in the wrong direction, be, Skynet all over again. And that's mayhem. What's going to dramatically change? How well and fast we create targeted content for buyers, how well and fast we create targeted learnings and timely learnings and best of breed readiness experiences for sellers, how fast we can learn about what's working and not working from both of those two different places, how much better we can learn about our effectiveness at internal communications and sales advocacy, and then also getting the results of our methodologies a lot faster and our processes a lot faster. Insights, as well as the creation, I think is probably even more likely to be a big benefit of these, because you and I were joking, about, the invention of alternative facts, and, there's 8 billion people in the world right now, which means there's 8 billion, validated published authors, and 7.999 billion of them shouldn't be. Valid statistics. I've heard it said, we used to base our opinions on facts. Now it's the other way around. A little jaded, but you know what? Unfortunately, a lot of us go into our belief systems surrounded by people who believe with just what we believe, and we're just an echo chamber. With these tools, you can give yourself the opportunity to hear something you don't expect. And that's probably one of the biggest benefits. And then you got to have the courage to follow through on it, or to say, you know what, we're shutting this down. It's not working. I made a mistake.
Sue me, get rid of me. So second part,
if I'm in the major leagues and I only make a mistake 2/3 of the time, I'm in the Hall of Fame.
Hey, you're doing pretty good. Second part of that question is, what do you think is not going to change? Like, what won't change even if AI is involved or not?
Oh, the art of the deal, right? People still need to buy and sell and transact and trust. The way in which we gather intelligence on one another is going to change. We've seen very little buyer use of AI. I haven't found any inside our entire body of work, and our people who specialize in that haven't really. They've got some research coming out later this year on that, but haven't really seen it. But have you ever owned a radar detector?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Did you ever upgrade your radar detector?
Just once when are you talking radar for protect the cops? Once. Yes. I had a long drive. I got a good one, but yes.
The same companies sell to law enforcement and civilians. So they sell this to civilians, and then law enforcement's like, hey, they're we're losing. Oh, take our next rev and you can have it, law enforcement. And then the civilians are like, I'm getting caught. Oh, then I'll sell it to you. And then
it keeps going.
Yeah. So it's this never ending cycle. So I think that your buyers and sellers both have access to some of these capabilities. And maybe it's that same sort of unending arms race. But the art of the deal isn't going to change. People who say buyers are waiting longer and longer and longer in the cycle until they engage with a seller. I mean, they wait until 64.3965374% through a deal until they engage. Talk about what percentage of facts are made up. We know that folks, engage with sellers earlier than a lot of people think. They remain engaged with marketers longer than many folks think. It's not this easy peasy handoff and linear journey. The deal and how to artistically and authentically build and sustain those relationships. The edges are going to be changed by some of these technologies, but those capabilities aren't in any very short-term future going to be replaced by the machines.
Yeah.
Maybe in 2025.
Maybe 25. Yeah, we got a year to survive. We're good. So question for you. I did a random poll on LinkedIn where I was asking enablement professionals about what's something you want to learn more about. And one of them was data-driven decisions. And I'm curious from your lens, both as a researcher and then from AI, like what kind of data should we be looking at, number one, and then two, how can we leverage AI to help enablement specifically, make better decisions as a result of it?
So data is going to come from the proper deployment of these tools pointing at your data lake. By the way, I'm going to use some artificial intelligence right now. Alexa, turn on desk.
Oh, there you go.
There we go. It's getting a little dark here in the greater Boston area.
For those of you listening, that his light just came on. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. For those of you
Yeah.
watching, I magically got even handsomer.
That's right.
So if there's a single lesson that I believe I am learning and that I think other folks, almost regardless of their go-to-market title, should be learning, it's that these tools have to be very carefully pointed at a very well-curated data lake. Analogy time. Apollo 13, the movie, Tom Hanks, the real story, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a bit of a space nut. If you remember in the movie, things were broken all around and they were trying to get those guys back to Earth safely. And then you had Tom Hanks playing Jim Lovell, I think, using his thumb and that little viewfinder, right? To make sure their trajectory was adjusted towards Earth, because even 100,000 miles away, they had to adjust it, because if they came in too steep, they'd burn up. If they came in too shallow, they'd bounce off. Either way, they were not going to make it. So that precision of aiming in the right direction is the analogy that I'm cooking up right on the spot now to represent how important it is for the generative AI tool. We're talking generative AI here, obviously, to look at all of the assets, artifacts, private secure customer lists, private secure customer transaction records, social security numbers, and sales training courses, and CRM deals and opportunities. The quality and integrity and governance of every single artifact that tool points at has to be 100% solid. That's where our IT friends need to be a little bit more engaged with us in enablement. For years, we've been saying enablement and ops technologies, take it on your own, because the corporate LMS isn't going to do it for you. The corporate content system isn't going to do for you. And all the vendors in our space, of course, they try to, stay friendly, but at an arm's distance from the folks in technology. That's a bit reversed right now, because those folks are the ones who are going to help maintain that integrity of the data lake. The tools that we use to point at that data lake, if the integrity is there, Jonathan, it's unbelievable. I'm going to read you a couple of made up quotes that I've got. All right.
Awesome.
I literally I made these things up. Here we go. Hey, machine, here's a PDF from a prospect's website and our company's product list. Write me an email linking our most appropriate products to their most pressing needs. Hey, machine, look through our internal artifacts to tell me which of our competitor services are most like or unlike ours. Hey, machine, turn this email message into a social media post targeted at CTOs, maximum 175 words. I know, make it 165. No, I don't like that. Make it back up to 179. Hey, machine, compare this digital sales room with these 8 others and tell me which of our assets are most or least consumed by buyers and which ones are most associated with the deals that we win. Or, hey, machine, listen to this meeting recording of Jonathan and Peter and determine who the economic buyer in the room was, and then indicate whether this individual ever discussed pricing. I made all these things up, right? And I show them out there because this is not fancy. This is stuff that is basically capable, but like anything that we buy and deploy, this stuff is not plug and play. This is the farthest thing from. This takes a lot of work, a lot of care, a lot of feeding. And by God, this is not a, whack-a-mole moment. You don't just buy this stuff and then move on to your next priority. This takes a lot of care and feeding and watering. And so we're talking about things that are going to change. I think that the skill sets and FTE allocations for guiding and supporting these tools are probably going to increase, but then the human talent required to create them and to monitor them should decrease. Now, am I advocating that we fire people and build machines? No, but we are going to see, like in every big economic shift that we've seen in our, generations, skill sets adapt, skill sets change. If you're an expert in oil and coal and gas right now, and you're not thinking about how to become an expert in solar and wind,
right?
Yeah, it's the same thing here.
So skill-wise, I'm curious then, I have 2 more questions for you. So skills, what's a skill that may not be prompt engineering, but you think will be absolutely crucial coming into AI?
For who?
For the user, for someone using AI, interacting with it.
For an enablement person supporting sellers or for
Sure.
sellers themselves?
Both.
For an enablement person supporting seller themselves, I think it's the prompt engineering, it's the governance and pointing, and it is the not changing skill of remembering that your customer is all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Their needs are going to change. So therefore, from a seller's perspective, we don't want to see a whole lot of change because we don't want them taking their eyes off the prize. We want to see a subtle increase in their capabilities to do prompt engineering, because no matter what the machine is or how it's built, how I ask it questions. I mean, look, in my own house, I find that my Google app gives me better answers than SIRI or ALEXA, which are so stupid that I have to spell their names
Right.
out, or else they're going to start talking to me, right?
Right.
They're not machine learning. They're just, AI is just the speeding up of and multiplication of manual tasks. Machine
Right.
learning is when the machine actually gets smarter over time. If you notice your type forwards in your office products, or, you know, things like that, they evolve over time. That's because it's not just AI giving us things that make us a little bit faster in those little microseconds saved, but behind the scenes, Microsoft and Google are learning from all of the experiences as to whether people accept or reject those little type forwards. That's a big difference between AI and ML. And anybody who comes up and says, hey, we're going to talk about, or we're going to sell you some, or we're going to buy some AI and ML, that's like Sam and Eric from Lord of the Rings. They are not the same thing. They're
Right.
totally not the same thing.
Yeah. Good. I love hearing that. I always thought that I had a conversation with someone about it, like critical thinking. He said was a skill that we need to be aware of, just because the output may not be very good. So you have to be aware of, is
Yeah,
this
yeah.
actually accurate or not? It's always interesting to think about that. Last question for you is, what are you personally, in your own role, what are you most excited about with AI?
Oh, I'm going to take unlimited PTO because it's writing all my reports for me now.
Wouldn't that be nice?
What am I most excited about? I'm excited and trepidatious
Mm,
for what it can do in the enablement space. I'm on the record with all the things with this podcast and in other forums as to what it can do for the enablement space. I'm trepidatious because enablement does not have and does not seek the right level seat at the table that it can and should be seeking. We are still the department that, folks, to the point of Siobhan's post, gets stuff thrown at us. We
yeah.
are still the function that's seen as the purveyors of tools. We're seen as the trainers. And that keeps us down there. We shouldn't be elevated just to make ourselves feel better about ourselves or
Right.
avoid the open to work symbol longer on LinkedIn. We should
Right.
elevate ourselves because we are professional, natural change managers. It's also a unique opportunity because the vast majority of people listening to this and in our space are already spending money per rep per month on AI solutions. Because
Mm-hmm.
with your revenue enablement automation solutions, your content, your readiness, your engagement, your CI,
Yep.
you're already paying for it. It's already there. These companies tend to be so obsessed with beating each other up for the few greenfields that are left and stealing logos from one another that it's not always easy to both chase the new and service the existing customers. I'm being very polite here, but you are already, if you have A, B, C, D, E, F, or G vendor in your
Right.
tech stack, you are already paying for and probably not using AI. Go to your account teams, have them make you an expert on what AI can do for your go-to-market organization. You then become a little bit faster than some of the other folks that you are kind of competing with for that seat at the executive table.
Mm-hmm.
The tip of the enablement, the tip of the AI sword inside your company. That'll raise your profile and increase your exposure. And it'll give you a chance to not just do stuff, but to lead inside the organization. So my trepidation is that folks aren't seeing that opportunity. My excitement is that the opportunity exists.
I love that we're in line with X. That's exactly what I see too. Me, most space. I'm like, this. It's our time. This is what we do. If you want to have change involved, that's what we do. So I love it. Peter, thank you. Like, really appreciate you coming on with this. I'm going to share a podcast you did with Forrester about AI as well, because it's a really good episode. So I'm going to share that as well, along with the website. But any last words you want to share with anyone? Just make sure I don't miss anything.
No, I don't even have a good dad joke for you right now.
Ah, oh, maybe should. Okay, you like space? Quick question: space movies. Which was your favorite?
I am literally going to go see what is apparently a big failure in about 2 hours. I'm going to go see ISS. Um,
Oh,
But
Okay.
my favorite space movie is actually how I open up my discussions about artificial intelligence. I have a lot of favorite space movies, but Passengers with Chris Pratt and
Chris
Jennifer,
and Jennifer. Yep.
and J-Lo, right?
Yeah.
So the thing
J-Lo.
about
That's right.
J-Law,
J-Law.
sorry, yeah, I'm Piost. So
Yeah.
and you're Jonka. So
Yeah. Mine's not.
the thing about that movie, very seriously, to get back to topic, right, is that movie is about the relationship between it's about the relationship between two gorgeous Hollywood stars. Outside of that, it's about the relationship between humans and machines, and it takes place far in the future. We know that self-driving cars are a very slow iteration. It's all about trust. Right now, it's, X% human and Y%, machine, and that'll adapt over time. And in 10 years, 20 years, literally you can just sleep while it's driving. That is about many farther years and centuries into the future when there's this full apparent trust in the machines to know and do and handle and keep us safe. Not to spoil the movie for anybody who hasn't seen it, but the relationship between humans and machines that movie projects. Think about how I'm comfortable telling my lamp to turn on, but I'm not necessarily sure that my revenue enablement automation tool is pointing to the perfect selection of properly governed artifacts inside my organization. The level of trust that we feel with those machines is something to always be thinking about. And if we're serving our sellers and other customer facing roles in a servant role, which is what enablement's all about and what go-to-market and operations people are all about, we've got to make sure that we don't do anything to ever lose that trust. So these incremental steps are probably pretty important. And then also Gravity with Sandra Bullock and George Clooney.
That make you dizzy? That one part where he's like spinning around and going, that made me dizzy as
not so much because I saw how they filmed it. It was absolutely fascinating how they filmed that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Now I didn't mention, the more spooky space movies where artificial intelligence becomes a bit of a problem.
Right. Save that for the non-traumatizing episode.
I'll let you know how ISS is. I don't have heavy hopes.
Please. Full review on LinkedIn.
Yeah, will do.
Yeah. Peter, thank you. Appreciate you, man.
Take care.
Yeah, thank you.